What if the most meaningful chapters of your life aren't behind you? What if some of your best experiences, relationships, work, and personal growth are still ahead? I'm here to tell you, if you're over 40, the best is yet to come. If you're tired of feeling stuck in life and doubting yourself and want simple steps to stop overthinking, gain clarity, and start living your dream, you're in the right place. Hi, I'm Sarah Tyke, a midlife mom, chronic overthinker, and your dream activator. I learned the secret of how to overcome self-doubt and stop overthinking. Take small, practical steps to create the life you dream of. If you're ready to see the possibilities, transform your mindset, and take the first step forward, grab a pen and a journal and meet me in the Dream Lab. Hi everyone. Welcome to Reinventing Life After 40. I'm your host, Sarah Tyke. And a quick reminder that we have a Facebook group that you can join. It's called Goal Setting for Overthinkers, and a weekly newsletter where I will be sending out just kind of weekly encouragement, goal setting tips, any freebies or early access to special offers that might be available. You can search for Goal Setting for Overthinkers on Facebook in the groups search tab, or you can just, I think, probably search for the title of the podcast, Reinventing Life After 40. I think both will work. Or you can sign up for the newsletter at sarahtyke.com/newsletter. And I'm kind of redesigning the website a little bit, but on the homepage, there will be links to both of those, the group and the newsletter, so you can sign up there. So today, we are talking about possibility. So when you get to midlife, a lot of times I think in our culture, the idea is that life's kind of over at this point, right? When you're getting to your 40s and 50s, it's like, well, it's all downhill, and we have the fun, cute sayings, the over the hill, and everyone laughs and has a good time about that. But really, it kind of sticks in our minds that, oh, okay, life's kind of over at this point, and I should just start winding down. But that's not the way it has to be. There are still a lot of possibilities. There's still a lot of time left. As far as you know, because obviously we all have, as Pastor Langford says, we all have an expiration date, and only God knows what that is. So maybe you only have till tomorrow, but maybe you have 50, 60 more years ahead of you. You just don't know. So there's always time to do something. And even if it was tomorrow was your last day, well, do something today then. Make today worth living. Like, do the most that you can today, because you don't know. Maybe it will be your last day, but maybe not. So, and one thing I found fascinating is that not every culture around the world views aging the way we do in the Western cultures. So in most of our Western societies, youth tends to be celebrated. And you tend to kind of get, again, this message that success should happen early on. So there's a very certain kind of structured timeline of events where you graduate high school, you go to college, you get your job, you get your money, and you do all these things in your 20s and your 30s. That's how it should happen. That's when your success is. And basically everything has to be figured out by the time you're, in your 20s or 30s. And that as you get older, then you start to decline and you don't have as many opportunities, and health goes down and energy goes down, possibilities go down. And so then we're all sort of left in midlife kind of thinking, did I miss my chance? If you don't have everything completely worked out by the 20s and 30s, by your 40s and 50s, it's kind of like, well, I guess it's over for me. I had my one shot. Guess I'm done. But in other parts of the world, that's not how it goes. And aging is usually associated with wisdom and respect, and actually the time of life where you become more fully yourself. So in cultures like the Asian cultures, like Japan, India, China, aging is usually associated with a moral duty to care for your elders. So elders are revered as kind of like the moral anchors of society and the keepers of the family history. So they're wise and they're honored, and the younger generations take care of them. Like, that's I hate to say duty, but I mean, that is their duty. That's what they do. That's just kind of their way of life, is that you don't just stick them in a nursing home and say they're done and forget about them. You take care of them because they are a very integral part of family history. And then a lot of times in these Asian cultures, in traditional context, adulthood is defined by household management rather than age. So kind of like whenever you are old enough to have the household and get married and have the children, that's kind of like your adulthood. So it doesn't matter if that happens in your 20s, your 30s, or 40s. And midlife is often more about fulfilling duties to ensure your family's prosperity and centered on like personal growth and societal advancement within your family. So it's not looked at as sort of the end of the line when you get to midlife in these cultures. It's more of like that's kind of the starting point of, helping your family become prosperous. In some African cultures, elders are often viewed as living ancestors and mediators. So they maintain community moral order. They have a value that's more measured by their spiritual presence rather than their productivity. So in these non-Western cultures, midlife isn't really seen as an ending. It's a time of increased perspective and contribution, especially to family and personal meaning and growth. And in Job 12:12 we read, "Wisdom is with aged men, and with length of days, understanding." So as you're getting older, you're getting more wisdom and more understanding and more experience. And that's actually opening up possibilities for you now. If you're like me and you became a parent or mother at 42, I think you'll probably find that you have a lot more experience to raise the child than you would have when you were in your 20s. In your 20s, it's kind of like you're still figuring things out. I know a lot of 20-year-olds, and I don't know if I put myself in this category because I think I've always had a soul that's ancient. I've always been old. But it seems like a lot of 20-year-olds, they have everything figured out. They know everything about everything. It's like, wow, that's cool. But I think by the time you get to your 40s and such, you realize that maybe 20-year-olds don't know everything, oddly enough. So it's kind of interesting to, be the older parent among my group of friends because I just feel like I don't know, I feel old. But with that old feeling, also I think, well, I've just been through it all. I've already done all the things, and now I can, teach my child from a different perspective than someone who is just starting out in life and has never really done much. So that's kind of an interesting perspective as far as being a parent in the midlife area. And it turns out that a lot of people are in their 40s having children. I didn't realize it until I became pregnant, and a lot of my friends, my family said that they know people that are, in their 40s. Like, it's not just a couple, it's not just a one-off, like, oh my gosh, there's this weirdo that I know. It just seemed to be like the normal thing. It was, yeah, 40s, having a kid, no big deal. The doctors weren't concerned either. I mean, I was treated as a high risk because of the age, because, medically they still have to. But when I brought up the concerns, I was the only one concerned about the age, and all the doctors were like, no, no big deal, 40s, everyone's doing it. So that's kind of cool. I think it gives a different perspective to be raising a child at this age rather than, if I was in my 20s or 30s. And also at this point in my life, wanting a career change. If you're sitting there wondering, in your 40s, like, what should I do now? Do I just get stuck in this job that I hate? I would say no, because at this age, you've probably done enough either other jobs or you've been with the one that you're in currently long enough to know what you do and don't want. So if you do make a career change at this age, it's not just going to be some random, kind of flight of fancy where you're going to be job hopping now. Because you know what you want, you know what you don't want. You're willing to, kind of either stick it out because you understand that that's what you need to do, or you're going to really look for another job that has exactly what you want, because again, you've kind of figured things out now by this age. You know what you want, you know what you're looking for, and you can go after it. You don't have to try out different things because you've probably already done that. So being in midlife, it just brings a lot of experience and a lot of different perspectives so that you can have there's a lot more possibilities, or different possibilities anyways, than when you were younger. And again, think about back when you were in your 20s and 30s and just the stuff that you know now, and how you can't really do now, or you can't do in your 20s what you could do now, because you've got so much more experience now and you have different views on things that are going to shape how you go forward. And you need that. You couldn't potentially do the things now back in your 20s because you just didn't know enough back then. Job 32:7 says, I said age should speak, and multitude of years should teach wisdom. So again, I think this happens more throughout Job as well, but there's a lot of emphasis on how um, the older you are, the more wisdom you have. So, point one, many of us inherited a timeline that says life's biggest milestones should happen early, like in our 20s and our 30s. And it just tends to be that our society in most Western cultures celebrates youth and early success. So if you're in your 40s, I would suggest questioning those assumptions, because really, who decided your best years had to happen before 40? Did you decide it? Did God decide it? So if it wasn't you deciding that your life was over, then why are you living as if it is? Because it isn't, because you still have time to do whatever it is you want to do. There's still time. And now you have the knowledge and the experience to really put into place a plan to accomplish something. Point two, many meaningful things happen in later life. Experience creates wisdom and perspective and resilience. And there's a lot of famous people that have got their success in their 40s and 50s. And I know we've talked about this, I think, a couple times. And I only bring up famous people because you know them, because they're good examples, just for name recognition. I think also a lot of time what ends up holding people back is the fact that they think success means money and fame. So if you're thinking, well, there's no way I'm going to be rich and famous because I'm 40 or 50 years old. If that's how you're defining success, then that might be an issue, and you might have to rethink it if you don't want to remain stuck feeling like you're never going to do anything. If you can't be a millionaire in the next, couple months, if you can't have that overnight success, if you can't be a world-renowned whatever, if you're really searching for fame and money, then you might have more of a struggle. But you can always do something for you, for whatever you define success as, and it can be small successes. Point three, the future doesn't have to be dramatic to be exciting. So you don't have to have, again, this idea of, or you don't have to have like the fame and the wealth and a huge mansion and lots of cars and lots of things in order to have an exciting, like fulfilled, quote unquote, successful life. So again, you're gonna have to you figure out for yourself, what does that success mean? And they can be small things. And that's kind of what this podcast is about, is that you're going to have small successes that will bring you closer to that life that you really want, your dream life. And you're going to do small things that bring you happiness and joy and make your life fulfilled. So you kind of need to change or expand this definition of success. So maybe you just want to have a little bit more peace, a little bit more calm in your life. Or there's a project that you've been waiting to start or waiting to finish. I start a lot of things and I don't finish everything. Not all at once. Eventually I get around to it. but I have a lot of half-started crochet projects. But finishing a project too is also a small step toward that success, because then again you have the finished project and you can see, oh, look what I did. I completed something, I accomplished something, had fun doing it. Some other examples of what success might mean in kind of a small step form. Maybe you make a new friend, you join some sort of a club or a community of some sort that gets together. I know our library has a few different things each month. They have like a game night and some sort of book night for adults. They have it for kids too. So maybe you go to those to make a new friend. Maybe you do something to improve your health. Bigger things like starting a business, that's still possible too. You can start a business. I wouldn't say easily, but you can always take the steps to get started. I'm working on that myself even now. You can start a podcast. You can have a garden. Like if you just want to get into growing, sometimes I wish that I'd gone the route more of like, if I'd been able to have like a homestead or like a small farm or something. My mom always said that she wished she'd been a farmer. She just loved growing things and just being out in the dirt and planting stuff. So if you can't go full scale farming, you could have a garden, even a container garden. You could write a book. It doesn't, again, it's one of these things where I think people get caught up with writing a book as if they need to be on that New York Times best-selling list like now, otherwise it won't be successful. And that's not really true either. It just kind of depends, I think, on your definition, and you may want to, again, change that definition of what does success really mean. Because I wrote a book. I tend to forget about it because I don't promote it. I don't know if it was really good or not, but it was something that I wanted to do. So I did it and I self-published it. I think I sold maybe 2 copies. So, but it wasn't really about the selling of the copies. It wasn't about money. It was just I'd wanted to write this book. I wanted to put down the ideas that I had, and I did it, and I published it. It's only ebook only. I didn't go through like a publisher and get a paperback and all that. But I mean, you could if you really wanted to go that route. But if you are just wanting to write something, get something out there, there are ways to do that. It was all free, the way I did it. So success doesn't have to be like these impossible requirements that we put on it. Like where we start thinking like, oh, it has to be tons of money and fame. I have to be a bestseller. I have to, everyone has to know me in order to be successful. That's just not true. So you can do these things. If you wanted to write a book, you can do it, and you can find a way to publish it. And I'm pretty sure we all know how to use the internet. And I can pretty much guarantee you that there will be a YouTube video on how to do blank. Anything. Fill in the blank. Whatever it is you want to do, there's a video out there for it. And that's kind of the fun thing about, one reason I love the internet is because everyone's done this before. Like whatever it is you're thinking about, and someone's out there who's done it before. So someone is out there who can help you. I think there are very few things where no one's ever thought of it, no one's ever attempted it, no one's ever done it, where you would be totally, totally alone with no one to help, no information. You can find something. There's going to be somebody out there who can help you get started. And eventually I'll just, I guess, say this right now. I'm going to have my own coaching program in a short while. So I will hopefully be one that can help you, that you will seek out as a resource, where I will be able to help you get started on whatever it is you're doing. So that's coming in the future. But for now, just go on the internet and look up how to blank. And there will be tons of videos and people out there who can help you get started doing whatever it is. How to self-publish an ebook. How to start a container garden. How to start a business. How to lose weight. I'm sure you probably all have already done this. But so there's help out there. There's things that you can do, and all these things will get you started. You can always take the first step to starting whatever it is that you want to start. Even if it's a big, huge thing like starting a business, you have to start somewhere. So you can start by doing an internet search for how to start a business. There's going to be a lot of information that comes up. And then you can sort through it and you break it down into a smaller piece. Okay, what's the very first thing? Maybe I need to decide on, is it going to be brick and mortar or is it going to be online only? What are you doing with your business? Is it going to be a product or a service? And then, I mean, there's just step by step by step. You can at least get the things in motion. So for this week, for your homework, I want you to write 2 lists. First list is going to be things that you think might be too late for you to do. So it's too late to write the book, it's too late to get in shape, too late to start the business. And then list 2 is going to be evidence that that might not be true. So look for things like counterexamples or some opportunities that might be out there, or people who have done what you're looking to do who did start later. So there are many people who have written books in their 40s and 50s. There's a lot of people who've gotten in shape in their 40s and 50s. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the exercise program P90X. I love it. It's probably been 20 years since it was made. So the guy who made it is Tony Horton. He's a personal trainer, and when he was making those P90X videos, he said that, because I think he was in his 40s when he did those videos, and he said that he can do things in his 40s that he couldn't do when he was in his 20s. Because he was doing the plyometrics and pull-ups and push-ups and doing like all of the really like heavy lifting weight stuff. And he was doing that in his 40s. That's when he really got into shape and made this P90X program. And I haven't looked much into this, but Jack LaLanne is very famous. I believe he kind of started the juicing phenomenon. And I'm pretty sure he was in his later years in life when he started doing this, and he was kind of known, maybe not when he started, but he certainly continued it into his later life where he was, still kind of the fitness guru, lifting weights, doing all of the health things into his later years. So it's never really too late to start getting into shape. And there's people who have done it. So in your list 2, look for evidence that these things that you think are too late, look for evidence that that's not true, because it is out there. And again, you can do Google searches. I hate to use that word, Google, gross. But you can you can even use AI, like look at some of the ChatGPT or Grok or whoever's out there, and do searches for things, people who did whatever it is you think you can't do in their 40s or 50s or however old, wherever you are. And I promise you'll come up with something. There is somebody out there who has done this. So it's not too late. That's what I'm trying to tell you, that I think you'll find counterexamples for everything on your list that you think is too late. Now, I mean, there are going to be things like if you want to join like the FBI in your 40s, you can't. As far as I know, the age cutoff is 35. Okay, so there are going to be some things that you can't do at this age. And I don't know, I mean, certain, like probably I would guess military things. I don't know if like the Air Force and the military, if those branches have age cutoffs. I know, so my dad was in the Air Force growing up, and I never knew what he did. But I knew he wasn't a pilot because he just never really talked about aviation or anything. And I feel like if you're a pilot, aviation's kind of a big thing in your house. But then I found out later on that my dad was colorblind. So he could not be a pilot, even if he desperately, desperately wanted. So I know there are some limitations that you may have, there are things you just won't be able to do because of things like that. Like you want to be a fighter pilot, but you're colorblind, you're not going to do it. You want to join, the FBI at 55, probably not. At least all the things that I've seen, their age cutoff is 35. Maybe they have other positions. If you're wanting to be like an NFL quarterback and you're 45, and you're just starting out, maybe not. So there are some limitations. I get that. But I think you also understand that. And I think the things that most people tell themselves that they can't do are not those things with actual like physical limitations. They're things that just in their own mind they think they can't do. And it's just a mental block. So consider these things. Write down the things that you think are too late for you. And then also write down the evidence that that's not necessarily true. Find some examples. Find some other people that have done this, who also started later in life. I'm sure they're out there. And then ask yourself, what would I pursue if I truly believed my best years weren't behind me? All right, a quick recap here. 1, age is not the same as limitation. 2, many meaningful accomplishments happen later in life. 3, possibility isn't about becoming someone else. It's about continuing to grow and actually becoming more you. All right, that's all I have for you guys today. If you found this useful, please share it with somebody. Please follow the podcast, like it, subscribe to it wherever you can do those things. I'd also love it if you left comments. If you want to drop me a line, email, fill out the contact form on the website. Let me know how I'm doing. Let me know if there's something else you want to hear about, something you want to hear less about. Join the Facebook group. You can leave me comments in there. Subscribe to the newsletter. All these things can be found at sarahtyke.com. And I think that's all I got for you guys. So I will talk to you guys next week. Bye. Hi, friend. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, would you take 30 seconds and share it with a friend who may want to get inspired to start living their dream? Also, please leave a review wherever you're listening. It lights me up to know that this podcast is helping you. Take a step forward today. It doesn't have to be big, but it does have to be done. I'll meet you back here next week for another episode. Bye.